Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. Good morning. It is 10 o'clock here in the morning on Saturday morning, January 29th, and I'm happy to be here. We're on for 30 minutes. This is Worldwide Epidemic of Child Abuse and Human Rights Abuses, right? And mainly I just wanted to do one show a week on international issues of human rights abuses, child rights issues, and take a look at what's going on around the world. Most of my work is involved in North America, United States and Canada, but I'm very much interested in the international scene, and I have been for years, and actually was studying at Mount Royal here in Calgary I couldn't afford to go to my classes anymore, so I had to drop my course, but unfortunately that's the way it goes. But I'm still very much interested in what's going on, and I do pay attention and try to support groups that are doing good work over there, and in especially countries like Afghanistan and countries like and whole continents like Africa, right? So it's just important that everybody, do something, right, to make this world a better place. Even your own world, in your own home, in your own lives, that's the best place to start. And then, move outward from there, right? It's just so important. So we're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast, and I'm just going to be reading from some articles that popped into my inbox. I have IRIN, IRIN news coming into my inbox all the time. So I get the latest news on what's happening around the globe, right? As far as human rights abuses and human rights issues, right? So I see this stuff all the time, as well as national and local stuff. So it's quite distressing, and the whole world is just a mess. And there's some that have and some that don't have, and if you're one of those people that have, be really happy. If you're one of those people that don't have, don't feel bad, you're not alone. And it's if you're suffering in an abusive situation, make sure you get some help. Almost all of my shows deal with child abuse issues and a little bit about domestic violence and abuse and whatnot throughout the week. And I also co-host I'm actually the host right now on Dreamcatchers Talk Radio here on Blog Talk Radio. So I do about 17 shows a week, somewhere around there. And I just squeeze them in my spare time. I have to work full time, volunteering with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, as well as the CCO for the United States and Canada for them. And also, I'm not very active anymore, but I also volunteer with the Canadian International Learning Foundation out of Ottawa, Canada. They are awesome. Ryan Aldred and the group that's involved there do amazing work in Afghanistan and Africa, Uganda, and mainly, and also they have projects going on in northern Canada. Just awesome work they do. And I'm also somewhat active in the CHF, the Canadian Hunger Foundation, and as a global educator here in Calgary, part of the team, although I haven't had much time to go out and do any classroom stuff for them, but I have done a few actual presentations in classes for the Canadian Hunger Foundation, and I also volunteer for the Canadian Women for Women Afghanistan, the Calgary chapter. And so I'm busy, trying to be locally involved, nationally involved, and internationally involved to try to make a difference in this world. And, with only so many hours in the day, there's only so much you can do. But it's mainly about education, staying on top of what's actually really happening, and speak out where you can, stand up for people when you can, watch out for children to make sure they're not being abused. And really, we could change this world, right, if all of us were doing that. So this first article is from IRIN, Humanitarian News and Analysis. It's a service of the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, and this is what I have popping into my inbox every day from all around the world, information, what's going on, mainly with human rights issues. That's what I'm interested in. But if you go to this website, www.irinnews.org, you can see they have all kinds of stuff on there, global issues. They have, blogs and posts, photo, film, radio, hear our voices. They have from every country, right? So you can really see what's going on around the world. And, the most sort of current, updated stuff that's happening will be posted here, right? And I have stuff popping into my inbox, and I save it, right? So this particular article is from December, so it's a little bit old, but it doesn't matter because the issues are still the same. This one's coming from Timor-Leste. Sexual assault survivors face long legal delays, right? Dilly, 15th of December 2010, posted by IRIN, says as the number of reported sexual crimes in Timor-Leste increases, survivors, mostly women and girls, must wait up to 1 year as their cases wind through a struggling court system. So they have to wait for a year before they even get to to go to court and press charges and actually have some justification, for this crimes perpetrated against them, sex crimes, right? It's absolutely horrific. In a recent survey on law and justice in Timor-Leste, the Asia Foundation's office in the capital, Dili, noted that the rule of law is still in transition in the half-island nation, where the court system functioned sporadically for many years following the 1999 violence that resulted in thousands fleeing. It was only 2 years ago that district courts started regular operations and almost all national court actors took up their posts again. So it's only been 2 years. So that's, compared to what we have here in North America, right? Community justice, it says, but with an anemic formal justice system since 2002, when independence from Indonesia was declared, community justice continues to reign, according to the Dili-based NGO Judicial System Monitoring Program, the JSMP. Cases are often resolved outside the justice system because police and other actors believe it is the woman's obligation to have sex with her husband, so sexual assault is not an issue to be taken further, said the NGO's international advisor in the Women's Justice Unit, Kapoor. JSMP does not track cases resolved in the community through family and community mediation, which is how the abuse are handled, said Kapoor. But for the cases that do not make it to the police, victim protection units are supposed to file charges in court on behalf of survivors of sexual violence. From here, the journey to judgment can be a long one. And they said, what happens after a woman brings a case to the police? It is clear there are many obstacles to proceeding with the case in the court system, Kapoor added. That's the thing, women around the world, women and children, are mainly women in many countries, do not have any rights, and even if they do have some sort of written, rights that are actually written down, on paper within the government, doesn't mean that they're upheld. It doesn't mean that they're actually recognized. It doesn't mean that the law is going to uphold them. It doesn't mean that the courts will, or the judges or the judicial system will uphold these rights for these women. And so, and children really don't count either. If it comes to getting back at women, then of course the children count. But if it's not an issue where somebody's trying to get back at the woman or the mother, then the children don't count. Like for instance, sexual abuse. People sexually abuse children all around the world, and even in North America. I mean, we can't even get that under control, which is ridiculous. But around the world, it's just who's going to stand up to protect these children? Very few actually have protection. And even in the United States, do children really have protection from child sexual predators? No. Anybody who wants to sexually abuse a child can get away with it as long as they don't get busted. And then when they do get busted, it's a little slap on the wrist and, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Children are not, it's against the law, and they get a few years, no big deal. And these other countries, there's nothing done about it. Many times the children just end up continuing to be abused and nobody steps in and does anything. It's horrific. It is absolutely horrific. And, it's just that we all need to be aware of this, that this is going on, right? It says obstacles. As of 2010, there are 49 national court actors, which is judges, prosecutors, and public defenders, an increase of 12 since 2008, but still short of what is needed, according to JSMP. The General Prosecutor's Office faced a backlog of almost 5,000 cases as of 2009. 5,000 cases. That's how many cases there are that are women that are seeking justice for sex crimes, for sexual crimes of a sexual nature. Not restricted only to sexual violence, okay, many of which were poorly prepared by the police due to lack of legal knowledge, poor investigatory skills, a dearth of translation resources, and lack of transport funds for investigations, reported the Asia Foundation. The head of the Police Victim Protection Unit in the Southern District of Covalima, Amelia Amaral, said while the courts had been more responsive since 2008, data gathering could slow down the police. So as of August 2010, her unit had received 16 reports of sexual violence, including child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, and incest. For forensic analysis, we send to PREDET, local NGO Psychosocial Recovery and Development, East Timor, but we do not even own the digital camera we currently use for investigations. It belongs to the UN. When they leave, we lose our cars and our camera, said Amaral. The UN integrated mission in Timor-Leste, which works jointly with local police in most districts, while in others local police work alone, is scheduled to withdraw in 2012. While lack of evidence is part of the problem, there are other holdups, said legal advisor Kapoor. The police won't necessarily arrest the suspect straight away and take a long time finding witnesses and gathering evidence. Some people believe even sexual assault should be resolved in the home. And most problems relate to how slow the investigation process is and whether it is completed. And that's just, this is not just worldwide. This is not just a North American issue that people want to see abuse silenced and that the perpetrators should walk free and people should be allowed to sexually abuse people, and family members, don't want any justice done because, they don't want to see mom or dad go to jail. They don't want to see grandma or grandpa go to jail, or aunt and uncle or cousin or whoever the person is who sexually abused the family member. And this is going on worldwide. It's not only just like in other countries. We have this going on here in North America. Well, people will protect the abusers, and they think, well, can't you just let it go? They're talking to the survivor of the sexual abuse or the sexual assault, saying, well, you should just let it go. It's the way it is. It's the way it happens. Well, of course, that's what abusers would love to hear, right? Abusers, people who abuse people in any way, want to be able to get away with it, and they want to be able to continue their abusive behavior, right? So, it's incredibly wrong to stand up and back up an abuser. And I feel that people that do that should be held just as accountable as the abuser for the abuse. If you're going to stand up and protect a person who's abusing people or abusing someone in the family or the home or who's abused a child or another person, you know better than that person who's done the actual crime, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion, and that's the way it works, and this is my show. It's very frustrating when people actually protect the criminals, because abuse is a crime. I hope everybody knows that. A lot of people don't realize that. And abuse is punishable by law, and people really need to be held accountable for what they do to other people if we're ever going to change this situation. As long as it remains the status quo in these other countries, for instance, Timor-Leste and other countries around the world where women have no rights and they're just basically supposed to take everything that they get dished out to them and be happy about it and smile. That's how I was brought up, as abused as a child, and I was just supposed to smile. And if I didn't smile, my mom would beat me up again. So I learned how to smile really quickly, even though I was being beaten and sexually abused and treated horrifically. I learned how to smile during and after and before, because I was trying to, I was being manipulated is what was being done. And the thing is that I was actually kind of trying to avoid another beating, and so that's what people want. That's what abusers want all the way around the world. They want to be able to control, manipulate the situation, and the person who they're abusing is just supposed to sit there and take it and be happy with it, right? And this is absolutely ridiculous. It's wrong, and we need to stand up, not only in our own countries, really, get involved in your own country, get involved locally, right, with your own communities and find out how you can help, get involved with your own country, get involved nationally, get involved internationally, right? But whatever you do, get involved, because human rights are only as good as the people that are standing up to protect them, and that's the truth. If people are willing to sit down and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter, we don't care about human rights, then we may as well count them gone, because they are only as valid as the people are that are willing to protect them and stand up for them. And remember that. They're just on a piece of paper. They're just written down. They're words on a piece of paper, and they mean absolutely nothing unless they are backed up by a belief system whereby we uphold the laws, uphold the rights, right? So this is very important for people to realize. And if you don't stand up for your human rights and for other people's human rights and child rights and whatnot, they will disappear. And we'll have to start fighting all over again, just to have the basic human rights to life, right? Which is, so many countries, women actually have zero rights, right? They don't have any right to life or anything else. And children really don't count either. They count a little bit more than women in many countries, but they still don't count. So we have to continue to fight for these human rights, and no matter, really, it's better to fight with your voice. Education is the key, and just standing up for what is right. Right? We know that it's wrong to hurt people. We know, every one of us knows it's wrong to hurt people. Even the people that are abusing people know it's wrong, but they do it anyway. Right? We all know what's right and wrong, and if we're going to be willing to stand up for what is wrong, then shame on everybody who does that. We're all supposed to be standing up for what is right, because I guarantee that you do not want to be a victim of any type of abuse, right? And the minute that you are, you will be screaming out. If somebody actually gets a hold of you, whoever's listening to this show, and you are brutally assaulted, raped, beaten, burned, or you have something happen to you in your life that victimizes you and places you at risk and puts your life in jeopardy and makes your life miserable, you will be screaming out. You know what I mean? And you will be crying the blues going, what about me? What about me? Well, where were you when all these other people around the world were screaming out, what about me? Right? Think about these other people. Think about these children and these people around the world, and stand up for them and stand up for their rights, right? This is very important because you would want somebody to do that for you. If you were one of these people laying on the street who've been beaten and raped and you know, somebody just walked right on by without helping and just doesn't care, if you were one of them, you would be screaming out, what about me? Come on, help me. Right? We have to think about this whole thing, you know, in the big picture. And if this hasn't happened to you and you've never been assaulted, you were not abused as a child, and you've never had these sort of horrific things happen to you, be very happy. Because I lived my life like this, and I know exactly what these people are going through worldwide. So, you know, be extremely happy if you've never been a victim of any type of abuse, right? And if you have, then you know that how important it is to get involved and to do whatever we can to help people out, right? So they said 1 year later, Elviana Alves Freitas, 24, said she has been waiting since January for a court date after she pressed rape charges in the Capitol against a government official in the Ministry of Justice. She accused the man of raping her at knife point. He told me he is not scared of my case because he is protected in the Ministry of Justice, says Freitas. The accused, Mateus do Cacico Rocha, denies the charge. Freitas is considered a witness to the state's case against the accused and therefore not entitled to a court lawyer. Freitas had not heard of services offered by local NGOs such as JSMP and East Timor Women's Communication Forum, which is the FOKUPERS, that provide legal counseling and accompany women to court appointments. VSS, Victim Support Services from JSMP, accompany victims to give them support, which will often speed up the process. But otherwise, 9 months to 1 year is possible to wait for the court judgment. Since 4 years ago, the situation has improved, but not for all cases, said Kapur. So that's that article. And this is just one place in the world, Timor-Leste, and it's like, this is just one country. This is actually happening all around the world. And I think that's what's important for people to realize, that this is not it's actually more common than not common, and it's really the way life is for women around the world, really. North America, Great Britain, and, the United Kingdom, Australia, there's many countries who have got it together as far as, trying to protect women's rights and trying to really stand up and create these rights and actually uphold them. But a lot of the world, a huge portion of the world, we may as well say 98% of the world, doesn't have any of this stuff set up. You know what I mean? And so women are just treated like, how they've been treated since time began back in those countries, which is horribly, right? And you better be glad that you're not one of those women in one of them countries, right? So it just shouldn't matter where they're born, and it shouldn't matter where people are born. People should stop abusing people, and it's an issue of the heart. It's what's going on in a person's heart. That's what causes people to abuse people. Because if you truly cared about someone and you truly loved people and you truly loved your family or whoever, you wouldn't be hurting them and you wouldn't be doing things to hurt them, right? So it's an issue of the heart. It's a choice people make. People are just sick and twisted, right? So this next article, we have enough time to read this one, I think. This is from Zambia, and this is from IRIN, Humanitarian News and Analysis. And this is called Zambia. Marrying off young girls is a tradition here. This is Manza. This was posted December 20th, 2010. The minimum legal age for marriage in Zambia is 18, and parental consent is required if a girl or boy is 16 or 17. Anyone under 16 is a minor. Defilement of a minor is a serious offense, punishable by imprisonment of up to 25 years. So that's kind of, the same age, sort of legal age, as our legal age is here in North America. 18, 16, 17, depends on where you live, right? To be considered an adult, right? So anyone under 16 is a minor there in Zambia, and that's pretty much kind of standard in many places, especially in North America. Some it's a little bit old, some it's still 18, but a lot of states in the United States have gone down to 16, and so it just depends on where you live, but it's kind of close. It says Patricia was 12 when she was married. When she married John, 4 years her senior. So this young girl was 12. This is what they're going to be talking about. My parents said they needed to benefit from my power before they die, and that's how they ordered me to stop going to school and get married to him. They charged him 500,000 kwacha, which is the U.S. Amount of $110 as bride price. He paid half, and they gave him a field of maize, Zambia's staple food, to cultivate for them, she told Iron. So she was 12 years old when she was married. After 6 years of marriage, Patricia has 3 children, has not returned to school, and is having a torrid married life. He beats me up very much and insults me when saying my parents did not teach me properly, that I am very dirty and childish. He also has girlfriends, which I don't like, but when I tell my parents about it, they say he will stop. They tell me that all men are like that, Patricia said. So this girl, married at the age of 12, she's been married for 4 years, or 6 years, sorry. 6 years, now she's 18. She has 3 children, and she's in a domestic violence and abuse situation where her husband is abusing her. And that's, so typical. My God. You think about how many people are involved in this around the world. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's just pathetic. It is so pathetic. Early and forced marriages are common in Lupala province, northern Zambia, where the incidence of early pregnancy and underage marriage is estimated at about 70% among teenage girls. 70%. According to the UN Population Agency, the UNFPA, which also pegs school dropout levels at around 60% for girls aged 13 or 14. Pascal Salimu, an UNFPA gender officer in Lupala province, which has a population of 800,000, said poverty and tradition were behind child marriages, with the remote rural areas worse affected. And that's just because this is ancient customs that people have been doing for so long. We're talking thousands of years that, it's just the way they live, it's the way they do things, right? And they, if it just seems to me that, if you can, why these people would think they need to marry off their young children, like in Afghanistan, they'll marry off an 8-year-old to a 40, 50-year-old man. And, an 8-year-old is not prepared to be having sexual relations, really. Hey, I was molested and sexually abused at the age of 8, so I can tell you, they're still children, right? 12-year-old is still a child. 12-year-old is not thinking like a mature woman would be thinking, or even a young adult woman. 12-year-old is 12-year-old women, young girls, not women, but young girls are still too young. And the thing is that why, if there's no need for that, then it's just a tradition. So why keep a tradition going just because it's the thing to do? It's like, what, a family could have a tradition that they would kill, every third child born or something? What, keep that tradition going just because it's a tradition? Traditions can be really stupid. And if they benefit the people, if they benefit that culture, well, that and those people, then that's great. But if they don't benefit them, then get rid of those traditions, right? Because education, we're coming up in the world. Some of us are still far, far behind, but there are a lot of us that are coming up in the world, and we just know that things could be better. Things could be so much better, but that's because we've seen it. And a lot of these people in these different places around the world haven't seen it, and their lives haven't changed much since, since 5000 BC or something. And really, honestly, their lives haven't really changed all that much, and their traditions are about the same. And hey, I love the people of the world, and I don't think people should be giving up many of their traditions and customs that make them unique. But when it comes to abuse, when it comes to any kind of human rights issue or child rights issue, then of course I got a problem with it, because I'm going to speak out against this stuff until I leave this planet, right? But when it's just something like, some sort of celebratory thing or marriage thing, or, where they get together and they have a certain ceremony or a certain rite, and they do these, I think that's what makes the world an awesome place, because everybody's different. If we were all the same, it would be really boring. But the thing is like, these people, here's this 12-year-old being married for 6 years, so now she's 18 years old. She's got 3 kids and insulting her. And, this is just going on around the world, right? It's just one more situation, but this happened in Zambia, right? So it's very sad to see this stuff. It says, marrying off young girls is a tradition here. People in rural areas perceive a girl child as a source of wealth, and would rather give the girl into marriage to raise the funds for educating the boy child, Salima told Iron. So that's where, a lot of countries are like that, because they prefer, the girls really have no rights, and in, many countries, the boys are protected, the girls are not. The boys are sent to school, the girls are not. In many countries, that's the case, right? Or if the girls do go to school, it's only for a couple of years, and they don't get to continue on like the boys, and they're just looked at as I don't know, slaves, right? We'll call it. If it's and just be there for sexual purposes, then what? They're not. They're just a slave. And this is that we come far, and that's the whole issue. We all know that women, while this started happening, most people did treat their women quite well. But at some point, things started to go downhill. There was always some cultures that always treated their women horribly, but it hasn't always been so many places around the world. You know what I mean? Just from what written materials from way back, women had, in many countries had high seats of power and influence. Sort of, I don't know why some of these countries are so backwards. I really don't. But it's really sad. It's very sad. And even North America, we see backwards people who just think it's okay to abuse people, to abuse their children, to hurt people, to kill people. And it's a huge issue in the States and Canada with that. And it shouldn't be happening over here because you think about all the education we have. Obviously, we're not doing a very good job in our schools. And that's not to run down teachers, to run down the program, the system that's in place. It's really not a good system, not a good program. It's not good schooling. It's not good. And us as a society will support everything that's violent, right? I'm not talking about myself because I absolutely do not support violent things. But many people do. They support violence in video games, violence on TV, violence in the movies. I grew up with violence, so the last thing I play a video game, and not seeing people getting beaten is they want to do because I grew up like that. Watching violence on TV is not my cup of tea because, especially mine, the fiction, which is, but the fictional stuff really doesn't interest me because it's what I grew up with, and I just can't to on. But people violence worldwide, and to not young people. So that's what for my life to write educational material, to and speak publicly nationwide, not in the United States and Canada. So that's the whole issue. But we all need to do what we can to promote not violence of any type. Because I stand up for men's human rights too. I just stand with only child rights or only rights. I'm standing up for all human rights. Right? We all have human. I care about men, I care about women, and I care about children. My main issue right now is I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dream Catchers for Abused Children. And so I'm lining up to do all I can to raise awareness about child abuse and the issues around it. So, and to try to make a difference in this thing. Then I'll be doing that for hopefully forever. But the thing is that I'm very much interested in women's rights as well, human rights as well as animal rights. Because I don't think it's right to hurt people, and I don't think it's right for people to hurt people. And I grew up like that, and I'm so sick and tired of watching people hurt people. And it's ridiculous that people think that they have the right to hurt people. And when you have, just in my case, my actual surviving members of my immediate family, which there's only a few of us left, I have so many opinions within that. I've actually completely cut all contact with them because they're so ignorant that they think it's okay for people to rape other people. They think it's okay for people to sexually use children. They think it's okay for people to beat on other people. They think it's all right that my dad raped my mother and that he raped her in front of me. They think that's fine. They also think that all the abuse that we suffered as children is fine. So see, that just tells you the ignorance level of people, even within our own families. The ignorance level is there, and really we need do all you can to promote nonviolence. Do all you can to promote abuse-free lives. Help people out. Do what you can. Get involved, internationally, nationally, but whatever you do something, right? Because if we all get involved, it does make a huge difference. So thanks, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I'll be on tomorrow as well. I'm going to change the show time to tomorrow night for Mount Bethel Christian Bible Study, Getting Real with God, because I love to read the Word of God. So I'll be doing that tomorrow night instead of tomorrow in the morning. And I'll be back on One Child Abuse Survivor 2 another 6 a.m. on Monday morning. So, and you can check my show page for the rest of the week. But thank you so much for tuning into my shows. I appreciate everybody who's listening. I do a lot of shows, and a lot of people follow my shows, and it's a lot to keep up with. And so I just want to tell you thank you very much for listening and for being here to support me. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Take good care of yourself.